So the reason why we do this is because I want to give people a chance to see the people that are doing these things are real people. And also, I think that it'll allow you guys insight into people who are doing this very, very well. A lot of times people ask questions that are similar to other people's questions, but if in the DMs, you can't see them. So looking forward to this conversation. Patrick has, I think, been around for a while. He has had a lot of success in the market. He has been very helpful to everyone. So I think you guys are going to get a ton of value out of this. So with that, welcome to the MVP community interview series.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on, Charles. It's an honor to be on here and to speak to everybody. I always I used to have a whole bunch of employees all reporting to me through this really large organization, and I felt my role was to make the conditions right for them to be successful, and that's kind of what I want to do in the options community here and elsewhere in my life, is just put the right people together with the right knowledge and trust that they're going to make the right decisions.
So the first question I always ask people is, who are you and where are you from?
All right. I'm Patrick Valandra. I am living in Phoenix, Arizona, Tempe proper. I grew up all over. I spent some time as a young child in South Dakota on the Rosebud and Pine Ridge Indian reservations. And then as my parents got through college and got their teaching degrees, they moved to California, and I spent some time on a Indian boarding school called Sherman. That's now closed. Then went to Reno, and then my family moved to a little town called White River, Arizona, which is in the middle of nowhere on an Apache reservation. And that's where I went to finish my elementary school, high school, and then left to join the military. Spent 4 years running around as a combat medic, and that got me into the door of a hospital. And I learned X-ray, and this was like 25 years ago. I picked up a whole bunch of different skills along the way. One of them was computer and IT skills, and so I turned that into a technical career, implementing hospital systems since about 2000. And then in January, before COVID was a thing, I left to head back to school. And I've got a startup in mind, and I've got good contacts at the Arizona State University here. And so I'm in a master's degree, and I hope to build a startup out of ASU startup space, where we look at how we connect patients with their data in a way that's in plain English, basically. So give the patients power and knowledge.
So it's interesting because you have a tech background. Shauna has a tech background. Do you feel like that helps you with trading? Do you think that it kind of allows you to see things differently than other people?
Yeah, I think those analytical skills help out. The ability to look at a problem, break it down into simpler elements, and then recombine it in a way that makes sense to you, and you can learn from it for sure. Yeah, those technical skills definitely help. IT, technology is all about connecting the dots, connecting the data. And that's really what we do every day here when we're watching the charts, right? We're watching those candles move. We're evaluating, boy, is that why is that moving? Is it news? Is it because the company's got good fundamentals? Is it earnings, right? And we all, across the whole community, I think we all do that every day, and we're getting good at it. And you get good at it by doing it every day.
Absolutely. So you do mostly candlestick charts, right?
So I look at very basic technical indicators, right? So I do some of the fundamentals where we're looking at the company, evaluating its financials and that sort of thing. But I don't long-term trade very much, and if I do, it's just for the dividends, right? And that's a very easy decision to make, right? You pick a company that gives good dividends consistently over time, and you just go in and you buy on a regular basis. That's something you can do with very little analysis up front, and then you just operationalize that, right? Every quarter, every month, whatever other week, whatever you want to do, you're buying a little bit more of that company to get those dividends. Right. The technical analysis that I do is really based across, maybe a month or so at a time, where we're looking for momentum, and then we're finding that in a company or a sector, and then we're looking into that to see what's moving, and then we trade based on the technical indicators.
Interesting. And so when you're looking at charts, you're only really looking at that month chart. You're not looking at a longer period than that?
I'll do that before I enter a trade on anything. I want to see, and I'll do that because I want to see support and resistance over a long term, right? Well, getting into this at the beginning, like a year ago, I was seeing things move, and then, suddenly midday, out of the clear blue, it would reverse. And I was like, there's no precedent for that. What's going on? And so I learned to look over a longer period of time. And sure enough, if you look at a long enough period of time, there's usually a reason that stock decided to turn around at that particular time. And it's usually some previous resistance over the last year, or maybe even longer. Right. And
got it.
Once you know that, then, that's when you step back and you go, you have to do a little planning, right? You identify your stock, you see where it might move, and then you look at those resistance and support levels, and you go, okay, if it runs, is it going to stop in $10 because of something that occurred 5 years ago? And if you're aware of that, that helps you plan your next move, right? This is a little bit like chess, right? You got to think a couple of moves ahead of the market, or you get clapped.
And so when people talk about risk versus reward, they're looking at the support and resistance line. They're looking at the potential that it could run versus the potential that it could potentially fall.
That's the basics of it. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The market right now is a little hairy. So the support and resistance in the next year on these stocks we're watching today is definitely going to be interesting. Right. Because of all the churn that's happening right now, right? Mm-hmm. This giant sell-off in March, and the subsequent bounce back up to where we are today is something that needs to be on your mind in the coming years as you're trading.
So, you're more seasoned professionally, so this question might not be as difficult, but the first question, one of the questions I ask is, how did you get your initial capital to start trading and investing?
Right. So I had a self-directed IRA from a company I used to work for about 20 years ago. And it was sitting in just a VALIC market account that was, not doing great, but I had other retirement accounts and other savings that I was really, that I'm really relying on for retirement, and they're doing just fine. So about 10 years ago, I decided to take that out, and I bought a couple of condos with it. This was right around the housing crash in 2008. So I got a couple of condos and been renting those out. And so that bringing money into that account. And I took some of that cash that the rentals have paid and put it into the market. So
that's cool. I like it. I love using like business and investment income to fund your investments in the future.
Yeah, cool. That's definitely a hack for sure. It's a life hack.
what did your early trades look like when you first started out kind of playing the market?
I did pretty horribly at first. I paper traded for about 6 months before I got in with real dollars, and the mindset between paper trading and trading with your own money at risk is there is no comparison. The paper trading gets you used to the clicking and the selecting of the things you want to trade, and it gets the research done for you, but it doesn't help at all the mindset that it takes to drop $500 on an option and watch it go sideways on you. Right? That's a learning curve that I think everybody has to make on their own. And I think what comes out of that learning is your own personal risk tolerance level. Right. Mine, I'm pretty conservative, but I know this is all. I'm not going to go out and work for another 20 years. Most of my career is behind me, so I'd rather be more conservative about my risk. But if you're 21, 22 and you drop 500, well, you've got 50, 60 years to make that up. So you're probably okay doing that. And that's why I always say risk tolerance level is just very personal. Right? It's entirely dependent on 6 or 7 factors that nobody shares the same thing.
100%. So it sounds like you're like retired.
I'm basically I could retire. I don't know if anybody knows this. I'm only 55, so I've done pretty well. Yeah. My wife is a dean and vice provost at Arizona State University.
Wow.
And our houses that I live in is basically paid off. We don't really have many bills, right? Power and electric, basically, and internet. So we've done pretty well, but I'm restless. I always want to do something new. So that's why I'm doing a startup.
Yeah, right, exactly. But that's cool. It's like it doesn't have to necessarily succeed, and so it kind of gives you the ability to get out there and do it.
Well, yeah, and and we do that with trading every day, right? Not all of our trades succeed, but we know when to cut our losses and look around for new opportunity. And I approach my life like that. I had a great job in January, making 6 figures, no problem. And I said, I see where the industry's going, and the organization I'm working for is lagging behind, and I need to do something different. So I did.
One of the things you said, you were talking about the difference between like trading paper versus trading real dollars. And you also mentioned the term getting clapped. And I think that is important because a lot of times that is what inspires people to really get in the trenches and learn and study. And so I wouldn't say go out there and lose money on purpose, but I would say use your struggles to inspire you to study and improve and be on things like this and to further your skills as opposed to running to the hills. Because most people, they start and it's hard. It's like getting on a bike, right? You get on a bike, you try to pedal it and you fall off. You don't say, I'm never riding a bike again. Or when you're starting to walk, like you fall down when you're walking. You don't just give up on walking, like walking's not for me. Like, no, like get out there, try again, practice, talk to people who have some success walking or riding a bike. And yeah, you'll be there too.
I 100% agree with that. I don't post regularly on the Options Win channel, but I know a lot of people watch that channel, and maybe this message is for some of them who look at that channel and go, I'm not winning that much. And so my message to the group is, that channel is great. It's good for motivation, but it's not good to compare yourself to that other trader because they are not you. They don't have, like I said, that mix of risk reward experience that you have. And so you're not trading the same as them.
Right.
And because of that, you're not going to have those same results. That doesn't mean you won't be successful. That just means you're still developing, and your skill set's developing, and it will get there. You just need the key to getting there is just managing your risk.
Absolutely. How has your trading style evolved since those early days to now?
So I've learned to, before I would buy and hold, and when I was losing, I didn't have a clear strategy for exiting, and so I've had to develop that skill over time, and that is probably the second hardest skill to learn, because you always have hope that that stock's going to turn around, but with options, you also have time against you, and so you have to kind of judge your optimism against the clock. And so I just set a blanket policy for myself that says, if I hit this X percentage and I have this amount of time left, I'm exiting the trade. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'm exiting the trade. The hardest thing I've ever had to learn is taking profit. And that's for the same reason, because we're ever optimists, man. We think that thing's just going to run and run and run, and it doesn't, right? That reversal happens at some point. And so just setting entirely reasonable profit levels, right? 25, 30%, yes, I get, 100% banger, 200, 1,000%, but those are rare. Those don't happen all the time. There's certainly, less than 10% of the trades I make. And truth be known, most of the trades I make are losers. I just cut out before they get bad. Right? I cut out at a manageable risk level, and I live to fight another day.
What things have you done to improve? Like any books, any particular YouTube video channels, anything like that?
So YouTube, a lot of the stuff I watch on YouTube are like Jared Wesley from Wesley Financial. He's one of the traders that's out there. I read some penny stock books. They're a little helpful. They helped me early on identify some good chart patterns that you might see. But a lot of it is really just, trial and error, looking at the chart patterns, spending 8-10 hours a day, just looking at different stock sectors every day for 6, 8, 10 months. And, that's an education right there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the things that I think people they don't really understand is they think that you don't have to put the time in.
No, we're putting in the time, man.
Right.
I think a lot of people hop on that voice chat channel, and there's, there were, before we got the subscription membership where we could add more than 100 people, there's a ton of people getting in there very early in the morning. They were ready to go. They were primed. They knew what they were looking at. They were asking questions, and there's even more now. Although on down days like this, we don't have as many. But
yeah, it's been a hard week.
Good.
Why do you think that's probably good? Just out of curiosity.
So I'm ever the optimist. So my hope is that means on down days or weird days like we've been having the last few weeks or last few days, that you're just not trading because there's no clear market direction. There's no, if something's moving, it's moving up and down or trading very slowly. And that's, if you're new to it, that's very hard to trade. And if you've been around and you've seen this stuff for a while, it's probably not real smart to try and trade that. And you're probably better off just sitting on cash. And so my hope is that people are looking at the market, but they're not really trading unless they're seeing something that looks real good. And I mean, the best trade you've ever seen.
I think that is I always tell people, because some people think it's their job to make money every single day. They're like, if you're a good trader, you're making money whether the market's going up or down. You're making money if it's this or that. I'm like, I don't necessarily agree with that.
Oh yeah, no. Just to build on that a little bit, Charles, is, I can count the number of days on one hand since the market crash that I've made big gains. Right. There is, most days I'm pulling in maybe $100, $200. Some days are red for sure. But, really on one hand since March, I've had maybe 5 or 6 really good days. Right. And my really good day is different from your really good day. But, I've only had a couple of $20,000 days since March. And we've had a lot of really good days coming in. But, either I missed a trade and I didn't want to chase it, or, I followed my strategy and I took my profits before anything hit real big. And a lot of that
honestly, I was going to say, I feel like that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, no, you don't win every day. Some days you probably shouldn't even trade, and you should just be watching and learning. And when the trade looks right, that's when you should go in and make your play. We're not shooting 3-pointers from half court here. We're finding a good spot in the corner that we've practiced 1,000 times, and then we're hitting that shot, right?
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you do some technical analysis. Can you talk to us about what that looks like? And also, can you talk about maybe any indicators that you use? I guess those kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, my typical chart is a 5 or 15-minute chart on a 5-day basis. And so, my strategy is I've got scanners running that look for volume and price movement. And if something pops up on those scanners, the first 10 or 15 minutes of the day is spent just looking at that list and throwing charts up and seeing, what maybe looks good. If I find 1 or 2 that I like, I will pull up a year chart on them. So daily chart. So each candle would be a day, running spanning a year. And I just kind of want to get a feel for where the stock's at. Is it that it's all-time high? Is it running in the bottom channel? What does it look like in terms of the rest of the sector? Is it automobiles? Is the rest of the automobile sector running? If it's Ford, is GM doing the same thing? Because that gives me hope that there's momentum in that sector. The next thing I'll do is I'll drill down into a 5-minute on the daily, and especially in pre-market, just to see what pre-market's doing with that stock. Are they pumping it up? Is it trading fairly even? What's it look like compared to the day before? And then as the market opens, I'll get into a 1-minute chart just to see what the candles are looking like as volume comes in for the start of the day. And then if I decide to get into that trade, I'll look for very specific volume and chart patterns that suggest that it might go my way for the rest of the day or the next couple of days.
What are your favorite chart patterns to look for?
So I am combining a couple of things. One of them is volume. So I want to see good volume coming in on a stock. I like to see it trading above the price, what they call the point of control, or the high average price of the day before. So if the average price that it would traded at yesterday was $10, I want to see it open above 10 and stay there. That suggests to me that there's still interest in the stock, and that the price momentum is going the right way. And then finally, I look just at chart patterns. I prefer to buy when I have confirmation. So I'll look for some. I think a lot of people have been chatting about it in the Slack room about what's called a 3-bar play or a 4-bar play, and that's simply, the chart, the stock is trading at a level, and you're looking for a green bar above that level that would suggest that momentum's coming in and the stock price is going to go up. And then most importantly, you got to look at the charts and look at where your stop should be, right? Because not every one of these trades works, so you're going to get stopped out, and you got to know where that is. And then you also look at the charts, and you either through using Fibonacci patterns or previous resistance and support, you look for areas that the stock may either reverse or give you a good opportunity to sell out.
Are you using which platform are you using to do your trades?
So I use 3 platforms. I got Thinkorswim running, I have Webull, and then I've got Robinhood. Most of my charting occurs on Thinkorswim.
With Webull, are you using the desktop version or the handheld version?
I use the desktop.
How is that? They keep sending me emails about setting it up.
No, it's okay. It's not bad. I actually just bought some Kodak tonight on it. So there's some good Kodak news coming in. I'm hoping we pop in the morning.
Yeah, I do. I do all my options on Webull now. Not because I like Webull, but because most of my long-term money is in Robinhood, which is random. You wouldn't think that, but yeah.
I've seen some pretty big Robinhood accounts. I'm like, man,
yeah.
But it's what you're comfortable with, and that says a lot, right?
Yeah.
There's no shame in being comfortable with the platform you're on.
Yeah. So how do you I think you kind of went over this, but how do you determine a good stock?
So I'm a happily married person. I am not looking to marry almost any stock. So I'm looking for, excuse the expression, I'm looking for a few one-night stands, and I'm a happy camper, and everybody goes home happy. I look for momentum. I look for news, and I look for good fundamentals. So,
right.
Price upgrades, I love those, right? Somebody comes in, Webush or JP Morgan, they give Nike a price upgrade. Man, I'm opening that chart right away, right? Because I want to see what's going on. Have people caught onto it yet? I like to be early in on the momentum, and then as the prices go up, I'll sell into the new sellers coming in.
Right. In terms of momentum, you've used that a few times. Can you kind of give people a definition of what momentum is?
Sure. Yeah. So, I think we've all felt it. Generally speaking, you're in you're at a basketball game, you're at a football game. You can feel when your team has turned it around, right? With stock trading, as you're in the market over time, you get a sense for the market has turned around either one direction or the other. And when you are in your favorite stock, I'll use Nike for an example. You can sense that momentum coming in. What it looks like is increased volume. So if you've got some volume option to put volume up on your chart next to your candles, that's a great way to look at it, because that means that more people are interested in that particular stock at that time. Mm-hmm. What's really nice is if you can catch momentum before the price upgrade goes, right? If you see, and it's not 100%, but if you see a stock that's trading 2 million a day, and you notice on Friday that it's trading 6 million, and the price hasn't gone up, you might want to consider looking into that a little bit, because that means that somebody has found an interest in that stock, and you want to know who it is, right? If it's the owners of that company, that's really good news, right? If it's a hedge fund or somebody else coming in, that's good news too, because that means they found some value there that people have overlooked.
How do you determine your exit? You kind of discussed that, but
right. So I have a really easy way to do it. So the first thing I do is I determine my loss. If I'm trading, $100 option, where am I getting out if the thing goes sideways? And my first alert for that is at 25%. Right. So if I lose $25, I'm down to $75 on my option. I got to ask why, because did I make a mistake in getting into this trade? Right? Did I pick the wrong entry point? Did I just totally blow it and the stock turned around? Did I buy at a high point? That's what I want to know if my option goes down in price. If it goes up in price, that's super easy. My first consideration for exit is at 30%. So if I spend $100 and I'm at $130 in value, I want to start going, man, is this stock going to keep going, or should I take my cash now? And if it looks good, there's still price movement, there's still good volume coming in, and that gut feeling of momentum is still there, I'll stay in, but I'll set a stop loss. And that way, at least I get my first profit target. My next profit target is 50% from there. And so when it hits 50%, I'm doing that same thing. Is it still moving? Should I stay in? Should I take profit and maybe re-enter at a higher strike price? Those are all the things I'm thinking of as the trade is happening.
I like it. So if your stock goes up 30%, let's say it goes up 40%, you're setting your stop loss at that 30% level?
I am.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then when you enter the trade, you automatically set a stop loss for 25% below that, or just an alert?
So it depends on the trade. There's some sketchy trades that I'll pull the trigger on. I'm like anybody else. I get FOMO on occasion, but I'll set a stop loss on those right away. Mm-hmm. And in Webull, you can do it. I think you can do it just in the app, so you can buy and set a loss at the same time. I also, in Thinkorswim, you can put alerts up, and they'll ring a bell or do something on the screen for you, flash the screen. So even if I don't have that up on my screen, I'll get an alert that something's happening.
Let's see. So before I open it up for questions, I have two quick ones for you. And that question is, what was your most successful trade?
So probably that would have been back in June. I took 20,000. If I remember correctly, it was off of, I think it was off, a combination of plays. I had some South, and then local airline called Mesa Airline.
Oh, and it kind of chopped up on me. What were those companies again?
Oh, so I had the Southwest
Oh,
and
okay.
Southwest Airlines and a town called Mesa Air.
What made you want to buy those particular companies?
Um, I really like both those airlines. I don't know because they're or because they're really good in their particular sectors. So Southwest is probably one of the best run airlines in the world, and it's got a great reputation. I know many of their flight attendants, and I know a few of their airline pilots. They treat them well, and I think the market understands that and is sympathetic to that company. And in this particular trade, it worked out really well.
Nice.
And then Mesa Airline is a regional that flies for American and I think United, and mostly American out here in the West. And about that time, they had earnings coming up, and I knew that they were pretty much the only airline flying because it basically parked its big fleet, and it was really just relying on its regional partners to handle the bulk of their flying.
Interesting. I like that. I like it because I feel like your actual real life insight gave you an opportunity to find, or gave you like the ability to see that. I mean, you live in Arizona, and I'm assuming they're located in Arizona.
Yeah, they are. And what's kind of funny is I've got I don't know if you guys know what a Raspberry Pi is. It's a little computer that you can build all kind of add-ons for it. And one of the things I do is I've got a BDS receiver. So every airline that flies around transmit their signal from their aircraft.
Wow.
And you can pick that up with your ground receiver. And I live right along the major flight path to Sky Harbor Airport here in Arizona, in Phoenix.
Wow.
And so I have a spreadsheet of all the takeoff and landings and the aircraft owners and the airline that's operating it.
Wow.
And I saw Southwest was flying, not a lot anymore, but they were still flying. And the people, they were to do the right thing. And then Mesa, I mean, I can just look out the window and every twin jet and jet that comes in has got the Mesa Air American Airlines logo on of it, and it tells me what I feel like I need to know in terms of fundamental analysis about how they're operating.
Yeah, that's cool. What is your best advice that you would give to people who are looking to be successful trading options?
So, you guys everybody's probably heard this before, and it's make good trades. Sounds real vague, I know. You got to make good trades, not driven by FOMO, that are not driven by hope and dreams. They're driven by what's happening in the real world right now. And you got to come to grips with what you think the market should do and what the market actually does are two three different things. And that's when it gets easier to exit a losing trade and stay in a winning trade.
I love it. That's really, really good advice, guys. Because what he's essentially saying is take the money making out of it and just focus on making good trades. Focus on finding good opportunities that make sense based on your technical skills and just what you know about trading, as opposed to saying, man, if this hits, I can make $10,000. If this hits, I can make $20,000. No, it's like, if this hits, then my thesis has been confirmed. And oh yeah, I made $10,000. That's cool. So it's like, focus more so on the practice of trading and less on the money making aspect of trading. That's the added bonus. So
yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna skim these questions. We have 10 more minutes. So you guys can go ahead and drop them in if you want, and I'm going to just read what's there now. The first question is, they wanted to know how you spell the name of the YouTube person you watch.
Jared Wesley. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's Wesley. Yeah. Let me Google it real fast here.
W-E.
Yeah, Jared Wesley. He's at Live Traders. I think he has I think he has a Discord channel or something like that too.
He also has a Twitter and an Instagram. His Twitter is Scoutmaster1.
Yeah.
And then his Instagram is the same thing, Scoutmaster1. So check it out. Ton of content just from what I'm seeing right here. Let's see. Somebody asked if you have a course.
It's every Monday at noon, right on Options channel. We're talking about anything you want to talk about on the charts.
Yeah, and he has a lot of.
I do have a Gumroad. I'll share it in the Options channel again here later this evening. I do the occasional video. I probably should do more, but the last couple of weeks I haven't dropped anything on the Gumroad because I've been trying to get handle on all the I've been doing.
And there's some replays I want to say because you've been on some of Shauna's study group videos or study group calls. And
I don't know if Shauna's there, but I do need to drop in on a study call because I know the great work she does.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you use when you're trading? Do you kind of rely on the Greeks, or do you not so much?
It will depend on the trade I'm doing and how much I want to spend on an option. So if I'm just going to scalp something for the day, and I hope what a scalp is, that's just making a quick buck off of an option trade or a stock buy and sell over the course of a few minutes or hours, rather than swinging it overnight. So if I see moving and it looks good to get into for a quick scalp, I'll get probably this option there is available if it's cheap, and that usually means something that same week and close to the money. But if I'm doing something longer, absolutely. I think everybody has watched, and if they have not watched, they need to watch Hunter's video on the Greeks. The Greeks are and make a huge difference how your option behaves.
Let's see. What are the steps that you take in determining which play/sector that you will get into?
So that will depend on what the rest of the market is doing. And this week it hates tech. So not really playing a lot of tech this week. It looks like it's some gambling things that are happening. So I think DraftKings and Penn ran up. So I took a shot at Penn today. We'll see how it plays out over the next couple of days. But I've had to characterize myself. I'd be a momentum person. So I'm looking for what the rest of the market likes, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And if in early August it loved Tesla, and so where I was playing in that tech sector.
I like it. I think a part of being like, if you're going to trade, you got to know what's going on in the market, and so you got to be aware of everything. So you have to be also looking for opportunities, looking for sectors that are high, as opposed to sometimes just kind of staying in your particular lane, because the market kind of moves in waves. And so in one time tech will be hot, and then you see the value stocks being hot, and then you see what he's saying, the gambling stocks being hot. And so you got to kind of find that hot spot. And there are different heat maps. There's different apps that will show you like what's hot, and those are really helpful. You can get them. I've seen them on like the iPad, and I think they even have some on like just like an actual website where you can see, and it'll show you like red and green where the activity is going on.
Yeah, Thinkorswim has that as well. And so if you got Thinkorswim, you can get in there, and I think it's called the Market Watch. It will throw up everything that's happening in the tech sector, in indices, on your personal watch list, everything else. So that's a great tool to have. And I just pull it up and it's all red.
Yeah. This person put up FinViz,
Yes.
which is actually, it looks really good. I like this. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like FinViz for tracking low float stocks. And so the low float stocks are the ones that you see spiking up, 20, 30, $40 in a day. And that's just because there's not a lot of shares to trade, or a lot of shares available to trade. And so people are buying and selling those things left and right. And that's where you get those big price increases.
Yeah. This is, I guess, kind of my last question, but I've always wondered, why do you prefer candlestick charts over just a standard line chart?
It's probably the tech person in me, because of just a single candle can tell me a lot about what's happening in that particular time frame. So I'm at the point now where I can look at you just show me a candle all by itself, and I can probably with 70 to 80% accuracy tell you what happened, and why the candle looks like that.
Nice. This person asked, where did you learn the candlesticks?
Right here in the market. There's a couple of books, and I think actually one of the books is in, somebody dropped that Google link to a drive folder that's got, God, I don't know, there's like 50, 60 books in there. There's a ton of books in it. And one of the books is, it's actually Japanese candlesticks. And I found that one, it's very technical, but I found it to be, at least to my style of reading and how I like to read, I felt like that really spoke to me and helped me out quite a bit. It goes into very, very clear detail about why they chose the candlestick patterns, and what each of them mean as they are traded.
This question asks how you set up the volume indicators in Thinkorswim.
So there's a couple of indicators I use. One of them is just the straight volume, right? Just
Well,
how
I
many
think
shares.
they're asking like how you set up the alerts, I guess.
Oh, the alerts. So that's in the scan section of Thinkorswim. And that's probably a whole different hour-long conversation about setting those up. But there's a study you can pull in that's called unusual volume, and all it is it's looking at a stock, say let's just say Ford, and Ford usually trades at let's say 2 million a day, and the unusual volume scanner would come in and says, hey, Ford's trading at twice today. I'm going to throw that on to a work list because normally it's at 2, it's trading at 4. That means something, right? That means it's selling off or people are interested in it, and usually there's some news associated with that or something. But FinViz, somebody call out FinViz. There's also a very easy to use tool in FinViz for volume activity. So if you don't have Thinkorswim, FinViz works great too.
Yeah. A lot of it is just kind of getting into it and playing with the different settings. Because Thinkorswim will reveal itself to you. Do you use the desktop version or do you use the online version? Like, have you downloaded the actual? Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the desktop version. Yeah.
Yeah. On one computer, I have the desktop. On another, I have the online. I kind of like the online. It's pretty nifty.
I'll have to try. I haven't actually not tried the online version at all. I know a few people have messaged me in the Slack room asking me about it, and I'm like, I use the desktop version.
Yeah.
I don't know how to set up the online one. I'm sorry.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for taking time out of your day to share your information and your knowledge with the people. I know they're going to get a ton of value out of this and the replay. So make sure you guys shout them out, tell them thank you, all that good stuff. We'll be doing another one of these next Wednesday. I have, I forget her name, but she's the girl who made like 60 grand in Zoom last week. So she'll be on here. We're going to go back to Wednesdays because we kind of pushed it back for the holiday. I want to make sure we still did this, but I still needed time to find somebody to bring on. I was kind of behind in that regard, but we're ahead of the game this time. And then we might just do like a random offhand tax conversation because we're supposed to have one of those. And so I was talking to the CPA, and there's actually somebody who is literally a CPA exclusively for traders. So I'm going to get him on there as well and get you guys this information because tax time is going to be coming up soon. We only got a few more months until December, and then you'll have that deadline, and then you got to start making the plans for how you're going to strategically pay less taxes.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, sure. You guys have a good night. Right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good one.
Thanks all.
Thank you, man.
All right.